and play on 2nd and 10. That's his youth right there.
Tagovailoa trying to make up for it. Fires to the end zone. Touchdown! Alabama wins!
Today, I'll be filming my college football playoff predictions video. So the college football playoff is going to be done a little differently this season. So the Power Four conference champions and one group of 5 team still have to get a playoff spot, but the 4 highest ranked conference champions don't have to get a bye. So that's why I've got Notre Dame as number 1, and it would make sense for them to be number 1 because I have them at 12-0, and I've got Clemson at 2 and LSU at 3 because they play in the regular season, and I have Clemson winning that game, and they have the same overall record. And I've got Oregon at 4 because I think the SEC champion would be ranked ahead of the Big Ten champion if they have the same record. And I've got Georgia at 5 and Texas at 6 because I have Georgia beating Texas. And Georgia, even though I have them losing the SEC championship, I don't think they would be punished in the rankings for playing that extra game. And then I've got Alabama at 7 and Texas Tech at 8 because even though Texas Tech I have as a conference champion, I have Alabama getting a win over Georgia, and Texas Tech's best win I would have being against Baylor. And even though it's in the conference championship, Baylor's not going to be as good of a team as Georgia is going to be. And I've got Michigan at 9th because even though I have them with 3 losses, I think they would still get in this case because I have them beating Ohio State and I have Ohio State beating Penn State. And I don't think Michigan would be punished in the rankings for playing the extra game, even though they lost it. And I've got Ohio State at 10 and Penn State at 11. And for the group of 5 team, I decided to go with Boise State again at 12. I really don't do much research on the group of 5 teams. Some other possibilities for the playoff spot in the group of 5, I think, would be UNLV and Tulane and Memphis. But Boise State, even though they lose Ashton Genty at running back, which is a huge loss, they do return 4 starters on their offensive line and their quarterback who threw for over 3,000 yards last season, and their head coach, and they return a really good tight end and 6 starters on their defense. So that's why I decided to go with them. So now for my first round predictions. The higher ranked team in the first round gets to play the game at their home field. Boise State at Georgia. This would be a blowout win for Georgia. I don't think this would be competitive at all. And 11 Penn State at 6 Texas. So Penn State's roster, while it's very good, I still don't think it's quite as good as the Ohio State roster from last year or the Michigan roster from the year before last. And Texas's roster, I'd say, is just as loaded as Penn State's. Is These are 2 of the most loaded rosters in the country. The question would be, can James Franklin go on the road to Texas and outcoach Steve Sarkisian? And the answer to that would be no. It would be close, but Texas would win this game. I'm pretty sure. And now at 10, Ohio State at 7, Alabama. So unless Julian Sayin can play for Ohio State at quarterback, as well as C.J. Stroud did for them, I don't really think Ohio State has a chance to repeat as national champions because I don't think they quite have enough around him at this time. And Alabama, I don't really see having a chance to win a national championship because of Kalen DeBoer. The roster's good enough that if it was Nick Saban coaching this team, I think they'd have a good chance to win it all. But this would be a really close game. But home field advantage would be huge for Alabama. And both teams are questionable at quarterback. But Alabama's defense, I think, is going to be better than Ohio State's. And I think that makes the difference. I'm going to go with Alabama to win this one. And now at 9, Michigan at 8, Texas Tech. So Michigan's a team that I still think is going to lean a lot on their defense, and Texas Tech's got the offense to be able to challenge their defense, I think. And Texas Tech's defense, I think if the transfers work out for them, it can be as good as Michigan's is. And Michigan's offense, their line, I think, will be really good, and I think they'll be a good running team. But I still think they're going to be somewhat limited passing, and I still think they're going to have a hard time creating explosive plays, which I don't think Texas Tech will have any problem doing. I actually think that Texas Tech wins a playoff game. So for the quarterfinals, I have in the Sugar Bowl Notre Dame versus Texas Tech. I think Notre Dame would win this game by a couple of scores. Notre Dame's a team that I think has a good chance to take it a step farther this year and win the national championship. I think their offense is pretty even with Texas Tech. They're a better running team. Here's a clip of uh, a touchdown run by their running back, Jeremiah Love.
So each team has thrown a pick. Riley Leonard and the Irish from their own 2. Jeremiah Love breaks free. Jeremiah Love trying to go 98. Touchdown!
And Texas Tech, I think, is a better passing team than Notre Dame is. But Notre Dame's defense, I think, is going to be even better than Texas Tech's. Right now, if I was going to rank defenses, I'd probably rank Notre Dame's as the best. And now the Cotton Bowl, Oregon versus Georgia. Oregon has gotten to the point with Dan Lanning to where it's not even really will Oregon win a national championship, but with Dan Lanning, it's when will Dan Lanning win a national championship at Oregon. And their rosters are pretty similar. But I don't think if it's going to be this season that Lanning wins the national championship because if he couldn't do it with last year's roster, I don't see him doing it with this year's roster. Because while this roster is still really good, the roster he had last year was a lot better. And right now, I do trust that Kirby Smart a little bit more as a head coach than Lanning. But these are 2 of the most well-coached teams in the country. But I'm going to go with Georgia to win this one in a close one. So now the Orange Bowl, I have LSU versus Texas. This would be a really close one. So what I just said about Dan Lanning, the same goes for Steve Sarkisian. It's not even really will he win a national championship at Texas. It's when will he win one. And I really think that Brian Kelly is going to win one national championship before his coaching career is done. So the rosters are overall pretty similar. If there was one concern I have on LSU's, it would be their run game. Their starting running back, Caden Durham, is really good, but overall, LSU was not a very good running team last season. They only averaged 116 rushing yards per game, which ranked 107th in the country. And then for Texas, it would probably be their offensive line. Not that I think it's going to be bad, but the question will be, will it be good enough for them to be able to win a national championship? Because even though LSU loses four starters on their offensive line like Texas does, they got immediate help with it in the transfer portal that Texas didn't. But right now, I would have to give LSU the quarterback advantage over Texas because I've seen a lot more out of Garrett Nussmeier than Arch Manning. So I'm going to say LSU wins this game. And now the Rose Bowl, I've got Clemson versus Alabama. So if Dabo Swinney is going to win another national championship, this might be his best chance to do it because the roster is so loaded. It's similar overall to Alabama's roster. I think this would be a close game. I think Clemson's offense is better. And I think Alabama's defense is a little bit better, but it really would come down to coaching for me in this one. And I trust right now Dabo Swinney more as a coach than Kalen DeBoer. So I'm going to say Clemson wins this game. So now for my semifinals predictions, I've got in the Fiesta Bowl. Notre Dame versus Georgia, and in the Peach Bowl, Clemson versus LSU. So when Notre Dame and Georgia played in a playoff game last year, even though Gunnar Stockton I thought played pretty well, their offense was almost non-existent because they had no run game and their wide receivers were terrible. But I think their offense will be better this year because those things will be better. And I think they'd be able to score more than just 10 points like they did last year against Notre Dame. But I still don't think they would score a lot because Notre Dame's defense, I think, is going to be just as good as it was last year. And I think Notre Dame's offense is going to be better than last year, too, because I think they're going to be better at wide receiver. And Georgia played really well defensively in this game last year too, and they got a lot of pressure on the quarterback, and I don't think their pass rush is going to be quite as good this year, losing two pass rushers to the NFL that both got drafted in the first round. I think that Notre Dame wins again against Georgia and makes it back to the national championship game. And now the Peach Bowl. I've got Clemson versus LSU in a rematch. So I picked Clemson to beat them in the opener because the rosters are close enough that with it being an opener and LSU struggling so much in openers recently and it being at Clemson, that was enough for me to confidently give Clemson the win in it. But on a neutral field in a playoff game, it'd come down to who I think is actually the better uh, team. And offensively, while Cade Klubnik is a much better runner than Garrett Nussmeier is, I think Garrett Nussmeier is a little bit better in the pocket than Klubnik is. And then defensively, I think the real difference is the linebackers for LSU. Whit Weeks and Harold Perkins, I think, are a little bit better than what Clemson has got there. And I actually think LSU gets revenge in a close one on Clemson and makes it to the national championship game. This would be an interesting national championship game because it would be Brian Kelly against the coach who replaced him at Notre Dame, Marcus Freeman. And Marcus Freeman's another coach that I think at some point in his time at Notre Dame will win a national championship and will probably end up having a more successful coaching career than Brian Kelly has. And you may think that LSU can't win a national championship because Brian Kelly is the coach, but LSU has won a national championship with each of their last three coaches, Nick Saban, Les Miles, and Ed Orgeron. Now, Nick Saban, of course, was a better coach than Brian Kelly, and I think Les Miles was a better coach than Kelly. But if you think Ed Orgeron was a better coach than Kelly, you probably just don't know anything about it. Ed Orgeron was never a great college football head coach. Actually, after the national championship that he won, he never had another winning season and got fired 2 years later. And with the rosters, LSU, of course, is a much better passing team, and Notre Dame's a better running team. And defensively, I think Notre Dame's a little bit better than LSU, but I don't think the SEC is going to go 3 years in a row without winning a national championship. And I think that this is LSU's year. So that will be it with this video. Please subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon.